So Pallavi, what does it actually mean to be an external expert member for an organization's ICC?
You can pick two roles. You can be a proactive external member, or you can be a reactive
Okay.
external member. Now, let me walk you through it, okay? So, reactive is when you wait for an incident to happen. So, let's just say you are assigned, you have been asked to be on part of the ICC of an organization, and you just say that, okay, um, let's see what is it that I will be, needed for. Now, what is it that I will be needed for is I'll wait for an incident to happen, and I will be required to actually be part of the investigation. Okay, when the hearings are happening, when the matter is being heard, when we are investigating into the, whether the instance actually happened or not happened, that's being reactive. Okay, because if you look at the the roles and responsibilities under the law, it is not telling an external member what all it is supposed to do. Okay, so the minimum role that any external member can play is when something has happened, and then an unbiased individual is required to be there while the matter is being heard. Now let's look at the proactive side of it. Okay. Now imagine you take another scenario wherein you enter an organization as an external member, and the rest of the people in the ICC are actually not really sure what needs to be done. So you take up a role wherein you say that, okay, obviously we have to come up with a policy which is holistic and conducive and customized enough for the needs of the individual organization. So you get involved in that. You also get involved into making sure that you don't just put up a formal notice in some visible areas of the organization, but you want employees at the workspace to really feel it, that this organization wants to build an environment, wants to create an environment that is that every individual, every gender wants to be part of. They feel safe there. You can also take up the role that let's make this a gender neutral committee. Even though the law says that it's only for women, you can actually bring into the focus and vision of the organization that why not make it gender neutral and work around that. The next role that you can take is, because organization under this law are also required to complete 100% sensitization, not just for their full-time employees but also their part-time employees, third-party vendors, interns, contractual workers, everyone, right? So they have to have 100% sensitization. So there has to be a mechanism for that. You can get involved in that as well, either by taking up training sessions or figuring out some way that 100% sensitization is achieved. The next thing that you can do is take role in the next guideline requirement, which is training of the ICC members. Okay. Now, obviously, someone is required to do that training. Now, that someone has to be an expert on these matters. That's the only time someone can do that training, right? So, when I say that you take a proactive role, you as an external member, so you're not just an external member then, you're an external expert member. So the expert word gets added to your profile there. So as an expert, you will also take up the role of training the internal members. This is what I mean when I say that you can take a very proactive role also. So Garima, very honestly, to be an external member is very much into an individual's hand. Like, that person will define their role. It can be something as simple as just signing the paper and document and saying that, okay, now from now onwards I'm one of the external members for this organization, or saying that from now onwards I'm the person who is responsible or who takes the responsibility, that now that I have been invited to join this organization in their internal complaints committee matters, okay, I will ensure that not only the basic guidelines and compliances are in place, but also make sure that their all connected needs are also catered through me only, which is of course the training and the policy making needs. So it can be a very much as part time a role which will require which will require you in that company maybe once in a fortnight, okay, if ever some case happens and it's brought to your notice. Or it can be as involving and time consuming as you being part of their monthly activities or quarterly activities. So yes.
So I'm sure you've been a proactive expert member.
It depends on the organization. It depends on the organization, Garima, because so you need to also understand that not every organization is prepared for this change. It's a change for everyone.
Okay.
You know, um, if you are dealing with an organization which is conscious enough, which is actually thinking of bringing all the employees together and not doing this compliance guideline implementation just for the formality's sake, then yes, there is a lot of work that is there to be done, and it can really be a very time consuming thing. But if the organization is something or some place wherein they just want to make sure that all the guidelines are in place and their annual compliance reports get submitted on time, then you have a very small role to play. So it varies. What's good to see, like in the past 3 years, what I have experienced is all sorts of organizations. There have been organizations where they have pushed me that what more can we do, Pallavi? You know, like we have even gone as far as conducting audits to check if even after doing all these activities of basic guideline implementation and other related activities, we have gone as far as ensuring and checking and conducting audits to see if all the individuals are now feeling safe, and if there are gaps we are taking feedbacks from the employees themselves and going a step further. So this is all part of those organizations where they are continuously finding a ways to improve their internal work environment for their people. And at the same time there are those who have just completed the guidelines and they do not want to do anything more than that. What's good to see, like I was saying, that in the past 3 years I have experienced, I have seen all sorts, but the trend is changing. If earlier I used to get two calls in a two queries in a month's time, now I get more. It's good to see that as more and more people are joining this fraternity, or I will say this particular profession industry segment, more people like me are talking about it, are writing about it, are working on this particular area. Organizations are also realizing that there are people out there who will be able to cater to our needs, and you cannot blame them because initially they did not know. Now that they know and they're getting to know about it, they're also coming about. So it's baby steps. It's what I'm always happy to hear is when an organization says that we want to implement and we want to make sure all the guidelines are in place. See, well, that's the first step, right? That's the first step. So once that part is taken care of, then you can start suggesting more things to them. That's the duty of an external member.
Okay.
See, it's like a baby, right? No organization, like I mentioned earlier, until and unless they have a conscious leadership or are following the best practices in their industries, will come up to you, or very few organizations will come up to you and will say that this is what we want. Otherwise, they need suggestions, they need recommendations, they need ideas that, hey, this why don't you do this? So that's the role an external member is required to play.
All right.